This morning we're going to be talking briefly about PowerShell and using PowerShell to use script TSQL tasks. Occasionally you will be in a situation in which you have maybe 100 or 200 or thousands of servers, and if you have a specific task that you can do in TSQL and all you really need to do is just change it up for each individual server, PowerShell becomes very useful to do that with. So I'm going to use a very simple example here, and this simple example is going to be verifying backups. I saw a question about this recently. And so we have these BAK files, and what we want to do is we want to verify if those BAK files are good. Another example would be backing up databases. So you might have a script that backs up every database on a server, and so then you can do a for each loop through numerous servers in PowerShell, where you can't do that individually in TSQL. So as a case in point, this is a script where we're verifying whether a specific backup is good. And so as you see, we're doing restore verify only from disk, and here's our BAK, and it shows you that it's valid, of course. So let's suppose that we want to do that in PowerShell instead, and the idea again is that we want to go through several files, and then of course eventually we could do for each server. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to declare an object which is going to hold numerous items, which will be the that will be the actual files. And I know that this is in the location of D backups, and I'm going to filter it to only look for BAK files. And for instance, if I was looking for text files, I would do filter star.text, but I'm looking for BAK files only. And then of course I'm also going to replace the BAK part of this. So this is similar to like C# and in TSQL we have a replace function. This does the same thing. I'm going to be replacing BAK with nothing. So it's just going to be getting the file names. Now here's where PowerShell becomes really powerful. This is very similar to C#. So if you do any C#, it's not going to be very hard to pick up on PowerShell. So we're going to be doing a for each, in this case, file in files. So files are all of these items, and I'll go ahead and show you what those are. Let's go ahead and just do F. Second, let's show the results. These are all the database. Normally these would be, .bak. But these are all the BAKs. So those are basically all what's in then FS, in this case, the object FS. But basically files, that's short for files. For each file, we're going to print out the file. That's what we did here. So it's stored in an individual here. And the reason why is, as you saw from this script, we can only verify one at a time. So we can't throw all of them, which would be this right here, into our script to verify. Okay, so for each, we're going to do full, and we're going to make full equal to D backups, and then we're going to do plus object F plus, and we're going to do .bak. And now we're going to do our query. So this is all TSQL here. So our TSQL script is, of course, restore verify only. We're verifying that the file is good from disk equals. And remember in TSQL, of course, this is the ending parentheses. That's going to end this string of Q. But remember, we have a single quote for the TSQL syntax. And then we're going to do plus full plus, and we're going to do quotation mark, single quote, quotation mark, which is the end. Again, it's very important. We're doing this script right here, so we're getting these items. If you don't do these items, for instance, if you were to try to run this, there you go, incorrect syntax. So we need those single quotes there. That's why. All right, and then of course we are going to testing the BAK file, and then plus F plus Okay. And then we're going to open a try-catch, and I don't think I've gone over this in TSQL yet, but we'll do this some other time. TSQL also has a try-catch as well. Now, but in PowerShell and in C#, a try-catch basically is if it doesn't work, you're going to catch the error. And this is where we're going to execute the TSQL task. So far, all of this is relatively new from what we've discussed as far as SQL and PowerShell. In other words, we haven't discussed anything like this. This right here we've discussed, but this is all PowerShell. So we have our object originally. We've changed the object by using a replace, and you'll notice there's a lot of similarities with the replace in PowerShell as there are with the replace in TSQL. And so we use our query here. Again, we're storing each object individually. That's why we're doing a for each. A for each is in PowerShell very similar to if you were to build, which we've done, a loop in TSQL, and you were to have, let's say, a table loop. You're going to loop through a bunch of tables, and each table has an ID. And so which we've done before, which we'll select a max ID, and then we'll pass in the table name that correlates with that table ID. It's going through each of those tables. In this case, it's going through each of these files. So we're going to invoke a SQL command, and the invoking SQL command, we're basically going to input our query. So if we didn't store our query in an object, I prefer to do it this way, but if we didn't store our query in the object, we would actually write out the query here. But since we have our query in an object, we can just use the object. And then we're going to connect to the server instance. And that will be SQL Express. And then we're going to do verbose, which is going to let us know what's going on. And then we're going to do continue. Okay, and that means if there's an error, we're going to just do it silently. Okay, and then just in case there's an error, and I'll demonstrate this catch in a second, we're going to have I has to errors. Okay, so let's go over this briefly. First of all, it's just going to clear the screen. So yeah, let's just go ahead and execute this just to show you. Let's go to the bottom. Okay, and actually right off the bat, that's good. I can actually do it right. It actually is catching it because it's currently in an error state. Excuse me. So first of all, let's go at the top. So we have our items. These are all the files, and we're filtering the star.bak. And then we are going to replace the BAK to where, as we showed earlier, it's just going to produce this, like stock analysis or Twitter stock market instead of the Twitter stock market.bak. Then we're going through each file, and we're declaring the full path because, again, it's going to restore from when we execute our query. We're going to restore verify only from disk, and we need the full file name, which is kind of like what we did here. And then we're going to do testing the BAK file. All this does right here is this line is a print command, except the difference is we don't have to do like in Ruby and Python like print or puts. It just will print it out that way. You could do echo. Echo would work as well. And then we're going to do our try catch. So it's going to try this. If it works, good. It will produce what we need. If it doesn't work, then it will spit out I has to errors. And let's see. One moment. So we have. One moment. I am going to check really fast just to make sure I have the right syntax across the board, because it should work. For both Express. And that Okay. And so usually what I'll do when this happens is I just want to verify how I debug is by object at a time. Hold on, I'm going to pop this up into a big window. See where it's at, right there. Okay, that's all correct. Okay, sorry. Alright, let's go back up to here. Okay, that's correct. And the next part of debugging is, let's see what this is. Let's produce, I want to see what full is, and I want to see what Q is. Hold on, D backup, stock, no, this is not. Alright, restore, verify. Hold on, let's copy and paste this into this. Oh man, my copy and paste today is not working at all. Yeah. Okay, but that looks correct. And there's that. Of course, that would break immediately. Invoke SQL command. And there we go. And as you can see, it does exactly what we saw in SQL Server Management Studio, where you have file 1 is valid, and so on and so forth. Now, the advantage of this script here in PowerShell is the fact that what's awesome about this is, let's suppose you had a for each, you had, again, 2,000 servers. Now you could do for each server in all of your list of servers, a variable with all of your list of servers, and go through each server, and then, especially with most of the companies I've worked at, they have one location where they put all their backups. So you could literally verify if each server, let's say, had 25 live backups and you had 1,000 servers, you could verify 25,000 backups that quickly. It wouldn't take that much work. So that's one of the advantages to PowerShell, is you can do a lot of heavy lifting. Whereas, again, with TSQL, sure, you can do it in the environment, and it's not too inconvenient. By the way, as just a general rule, restoring verify from disk, verify only from disk, is a good thing to do after you back up, as a part of your backup process. If you go to my GitHub, you'll see that the code where I do backing up, I also verify whether the file's good. Because if the file's bad, which happens from time to time, you actually want whatever part of your process is backing up the database, you want it to throw an error so that you know that the file is bad. And but anyway, that's kind of how we do that. And then, of course, that was a good video, because you also saw what happens when you get an error and you're like, wait a minute, there's a try catch. But yeah, I always do it step by step by step, and then look at everything, and there the error was right here. So PowerShell usually allows you to do things a lot faster, in the sense that if you have a lot of environments, some people go crazy over it. Yeah, sure, if you know C# or if you know Ruby, Python, or even Perl, you might not understand why people are crazy about PowerShell. But it's pretty handy, and it's really not all that different than C# at all. So what I found is a lot of people can pick up on it really quickly, and as you can see, you can do things a lot faster than if you try to manually do it through TSQL.